approaches to the ISS, and it'll do 2 approaches to demonstrate the ability to come close and then go away safely. And then finally, on the 3rd day, on February 14th, the ATV will dock with the station. Through that time, through all those vehicles, our ESA crew member will be doing further commissioning or further checkout of the Columbus module. That'll be time to get the racks all checked out, the science up and running, and get ready to return some of that science on the next flight. The next flight is Flight 1JA. It's the shuttle flight STS-123, launching on February 14th. If that's a familiar date, it's the same day that ATV is docking. We have docking of the shuttle on February 16th. That sequence is still kind of under review with all the planning, both from the sleep shifting perspective and how much time it takes to get finished with ATV docking and over into the shuttle docking. So we may adjust that date a little bit later once we know how the increment's going. But STS-123 will rotate another expedition crew member. It will install the Japanese external logistics module pressurized segment on top of the Node 2 or on the Zenith. That'll be its temporary home until increment 17 brings Flight 1J and the Japanese GEM module. And later the Japanese logistics pressurized module will be moved over to the GEM. The other major part of Flight 1JA is to assemble and install the Special Purpose Dexterous Manipulator, or SPDM, also known as Dexter. That's provided by the Canadian Space Agency. The other objectives of Flight 1JA are to transfer the OBSS from shuttle to station. It'll be retrieved from station on Flight 1J. 1J and the GEM are so heavy that they can't carry up their own OBSS. And finally, we'll be relocating racks from the U.S. laboratory into the Columbus module. For years, we've been planning to move some of our scientific racks into the partner modules. It's great to finally have a module to move them into. I have a video here also, actually first is a picture of the SPDM. I'll describe that. The SPDM is provided by the Canadian Space Agency. You can see here at the top end of it is a power and data grapple fixture where the space station SSRMS can grapple it. SSRMS is also provided by the Canadians. At the bottom end, you'll see a latching end effector, very similar to what the SSRMS has today. And then you see the body of the SPDM. This is as it's finally assembled. 2 arms to give it the dexterous and side-by-side capability. And there are 2 cameras on either shoulder that give it multi-purpose stereotype vision. So the SPDM will be assembled and installed on Flight 1JA. We also have a short video here of the JLP, the Logistics Pressurized Module for the JAXA experiment. You can see it's about 2 rack bays wide. The GEM is so heavy that they had to launch a lot of their racks ahead of time so that it could be pre-positioned and installed in the GEM, which you see here. The GEM comes up on Flight 1J. And as you see in the video here, you can see that the JLP goes on top of Node 2, and the SPDM will be installed on the station. And finally, toward the end of the mission, the end of the increment will be the 16 Soyuz launch, which is April 8th. It'll bring the Expedition 17 crew. And at the end of that handover mission, the Expedition 16 crew, Peggy and Yuri, and whichever visiting crew member come up, will land in the 15 Soyuz on April 19th. I said that this increment has given us many challenges in the planning. One of those is the shuttle schedules. We have 3 shuttles in this increment. That's a high number. There's a lot of activity going on during those flights as well as before and after each of those flights. We've worked really hard on the vehicle schedule to accommodate the shuttle schedules as well as the progresses in ATVs. I would say that we have a resilient plan. It does get some of our vehicles kind of close together, but we are reviewing all that to make sure we can fit the activity that we need, give the crew the days off that we need to. Next up is crew time. That's always an issue for us with whether it's 2 crew or 3 crew, but especially with so many visiting vehicles in this flight. We have looked at our budgeting and projections. We expect that we'll achieve all the high priorities that we have for the mission, but time is going to be tight on there. So as always, we rely on our priorities, and if we have to delete or defer anything, we will make sure that we're safe in doing so. Another good thing that we have is we have an experienced crew flying throughout the course of the increment, especially with Peggy. She is known for getting a lot done and a lot ahead of us. Manifesting has been a challenge for us, manifesting hardware to orbit. We have a lot of vehicles coming and going, but the shuttle flights are all mid-deck only as far as their cargo. We don't have an MPLM or a space hab. We have the progresses, mostly full of food and crew provisions for the crew. We have the ATV. We are doing our manifesting to protect for ATV not being able to get to the station. ATV has food and crew provisions and has some hardware that is valuable to us but is replaceable if we needed to. It also brings about 1.5 metric tons of propellant to the station. Stowage has always been an issue for us, but finally in this increment we have new modules coming, so a lot of new volume to stow our equipment. We've also built up a plan to be able to make use of those new modules. Again, we've had to kind of fit that between all of our visiting vehicles, but by the end of the second stage, by the time 1JA arrives, we'll be able to clear off one of our non-compliance reports, which has had us using non-standard stowage in Node 1. And finally, the international partners are a big part of this increment. We are bringing in not just their hardware, but bringing in their management folks, bringing in their control centers. They've got a very strong desire to see their hardware launched and launched on a schedule, and a lot of times like ours, their money is tied to performance. So we've been working with that all along with these launch dates. So all in all, we're looking forward to a great increment. It's going to be very busy, especially the next couple of months here. We're looking forward to working with all the teams, the management teams, the ground teams, and especially the crew. So I'd like to turn it over to Holly, and she's going to tell us how we're going to make all these miracles happen.
Well, thank you very much, Pete. It's certainly a privilege to be here today as